Hey, Ron. I want to do a real deep dive into OpenAI's code interpreter. Now, when I first saw a demo of this, I was blown away, but I haven't actually used it that extensively myself. So I want this particular video to be a little bit about self-discovery, but also to really showcase from start to finish in your data workflow how this could really impact everything that we do. I have a feeling it really will. The only real downside at the moment is this privacy aspect, right? So I think that this isn't commercially ready just yet to take over all data analytics, but I think it's a sign of the future. And so that's why I want to do a detailed video about it now. And then we can, as things evolve in this space, we can continue to have a look at what changes and what updates are being made, because I'm convinced there's a ton going on behind the scenes to make this sort of analytical journey, or this analytical workflow more possible in corporate. So what I did is I downloaded some data from the Enterprise DNA platform, and it's just some call center data. So this is what it looks like here. Let's not dig into it too much because we want the code interpreter to do that for us, right? So I'm going to just minimize this to the side and jump into code interpreter. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this data in here and just ask it. I'm going to start asking it questions, and let's see what journey can take us on. Okay, this is what really excites me from a data point of view, a data professional point of view, is that if this is as good as we believe it is to be, then think about how democratized this has become, like data analysis has become. How many more of us can be really good at data analysis? Okay, so I'm going to bring it in here. And let's just ask, can you summarize this data? I might, throughout this video, speed things up if things are taking a long time. So if you see that, it's just, I don't want you to have to sit through computer updating. I mean, it's just pretty incredible, right? Like, I know from experience that when you're first setting up a model, right, when you're first setting up a report, these are the sort of foundations that you look for. These are sort of the core calculations. These are the core things that you want to try and understand about your data. But I mean, this literally just spelled it out straight away, which is pretty incredible, right? Pretty incredible. And we haven't done any sort of cleaning or transformations, but the fact that I can get to this point within a couple of minutes is pretty incredible. From these basic statistics, we can infer the following insights. The dataset seems to have some missing values, as the count of some columns is less than the total entries. Okay, most calls are priority 0 or 1. The majority of calls are type PS that are handled by an agent. Some calls appear to be associated with no server. This might indicate a system issue. Wow. Okay, so it's actually reading the data points within like a column and trying to infer something from that, which is impressive. So we've got a really good understanding. I mean, I do already of this data set, and I've just asked some pretty simple questions. I mean, I've said, can you summarize this data for me? This data appears to be a log of customer service calls. And then it's given me what I would call sort of core calculations, right? Now, let's not do too much thinking here. Let's ask Code Interpreter what it feels we should be looking at, okay? Okay, this is quite fascinating, right? So I asked for key time series insights. Okay, and it tried to do something, didn't think it was right, so try it again. So it's actually thinking, which is crazy. So it thinks it can find, it looks at something. If it's not right, it then rethinks and tries to produce something good. And then it comes to and you see here that it's actually writing Python code in the background. So this is the exciting thing. I mean, I mentioned this a while ago when I in videos that I've done, and I've done a couple of webinars on how you can create BI notebooks really easily now, right? This is the next step here. It's creating those BI notebooks for you automatically. So you don't have to go and copy and paste over to a Google Colab notebook or a Jupyter notebook. You can just literally stay inside this environment. You can stay inside a chat experience, which is very, very cool. And I'm sure is where things are going. There's also another app called Notable, which has a plugin, which I saw with GPT, the ChatGPT plugins, where you could create it automatically. But this is just within the chat experience, which is very interesting. And you can see here the monthly count of complaints. It doesn't have an axes title here, which is a bit annoying. Average service time per month. So these are sort of that next. So we've created our core calculations. This is sort of the next level, right? This is the first order of insights you can create from those core calculations. Because now we're looking over time, right? We're looking over time, the averages per month in this case. I'm sure we could get dailies as well, but this is averages per month. So these are pretty impressive charts that we would probably spend quite a bit of time figuring out, right? And obviously we'd need to build the calculations, etc. If we were working in Excel, or if we were working in Power BI or Tableau or whatever, even within a BI notebook, you used to have to actually write this out, but you don't anymore. In this case anyway. So I guess this is the reason why there isn't. It's because it's on years, right? So let me just double check. Okay, so yeah, so I didn't realize that the data actually is quite a significant amount of years. And so this is the average core priority per month. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so from the time series analysis, we can observe several trends: monthly count of complaints, average service time, average core priority. The average core priority also appears to fluctuate across months. We can see some peers. So it's telling you a story. It's telling you quite a meaningful story here, which is what we would do as data analysts, right? A lot of you who might be watching this might think, wow, okay, this is doing my job. But trust me, this is just making so many more people capable with data. And I just think that's exciting, because there is probably 10, I've said this before, I think there's 10 times more analysis we can be doing. And I think there's probably 10 times the amount of people who can work with data who aren't. And so I think that's what we need to get excited about here, what this is opening up. Okay, what does it finish here? Remember that these are high-level trends. To get more granular insights, you might want to look at daily or weekly trends, or consider other factors such as type of complaints, outcomes, or specific servers handling the calls. Let me know if you have any other questions. Okay, so let's try something new. Let's go. Can you show me the total count of calls per day? Okay, so it seems like the data set's a bit wonky. Maybe not the best. Maybe it's not. There's like a lot of missing data when you really dig into it. I think, how many rows do we actually have in the data set? I'm just looking at 4,000. Okay, so there's only 4,000 data points. So at least it shows you it's working. So you can actually just double check if this is making sense. And if we want to, and this is cool as well, right? By the way, is that if we want to get an explanation about how this is being calculated, I mean, we can just go to another chat here in ChatGPT, right? And say, can you explain this code? This is what I love about ChatGPT, right? Look how fast that is. It's amazing. This line of code does the following. It assumes that a data frame named data. Okay, cool. I mean, that is just crazy. Compared to, I've been in this game for a long time, compared to how much intuition and how much technical knowledge you need, compared to what you theoretically need now to do something meaningful, is just, I mean, all I can say is it's mind blowing. It's how much it's changed within even a year. Just never would have imagined this much change this quickly. It's really, really quite amazing. Okay, let's dig a bit deeper. Let's dig a bit deeper. So isn't that cool? I mean, I didn't even ask for anything specific. I said, can you show me the most interesting donut charts from this data set? And then it figured out, okay, what was data that we could use as a donut chart? And I bet you it just looked at different information from within here. So it was looking at things like type, outcome. So looking for dimensions within or columns within the data set that didn't have too many different data points, and so would be good for a donut chart or a pie chart, right? And so we've got one on servers, call priorities, call types, and call outcomes, right? We don't have any date range around these, but I'm sure we could create some date ranges if we really wanted to, okay? So, I mean, if we wanted to, we could say, okay, let's have a look at, so even that's interesting. Can we do the same, but only for the same donut chart, but break down for 2015 and 2016, but break down into different visuals, 2015 data and while it's doing that, you'll see here that call types, the majority of calls are of type PS 79%, followed by NW 14%, a small fraction of other types, the majority of calls. So it's not only showing us the insight, right? It's actually then telling us the story. So that to me is huge, right? Because so much like in the world of dashboarding, it can be hard to create a story from your dashboard. It can be it's not intuitive. It's one of the harder, like from experience and from seeing hundreds and probably thousands of reports and dashboards. It's one of the hardest things for technically minded people to do is to then actually tell the story. But I like the fact here that it actually tells you the story. It actually not only creates a visualization, but it tells you the story, which is very, very powerful. Okay. Wow. Okay, cool. So check this out. So I asked, can you do the same donut charts, but only do 2015 data and 2016 data? And I got that from, I got that from here. I knew there's 2015 and 2016. I mean, the data is not perfect, so it's just totally randomized data, but you'll see here call types. So we can sort of see the change, okay? See the change between 2015 to 2016. Okay, so call types. In both years, the majority of calls are PS. Call priorities, the distribution of calls also remains relatively similar. The outcome, so it's actually telling us the comparison. Wow. I mean, so, if you're creating a dashboard, you might have someone clicking a filter or something like that. But in here, it's so quick to actually do the two different time frames, but then create the story around the comparison, which is amazing. The distribution of calls across different servers also seems quite similar. And just think about how quickly you can move to the next thing, into the next thing, into the next thing, right? And so this is just so powerful. So I can sort of say, okay, let's drill into call outcomes. Let's drill. Crazy. So I just asked, okay, let's drill into just call outcomes. And so if you were looking at a dashboard, the consumer would need to, they'd need to know how to discover this insight, right? So you would have to have built the dashboard or the report so that it would be easy to find this. But in this case, I can just say, let's drill into it. Can you tell me tell me the story, tell me the insight? And it tells me, okay, well, calls handled by an agent increased by 12. A growth of 2.5%. The number of calls edited and hanged decreased 24, a decrease of 32%. the significant decrease could indicate an improvement in call handling. So it's even it's even making judgment calls. I mean, it may be wrong, but it still is impressive. Phantom, the number of phantom calls decreased by 4, a significant decrease of 80%. Okay, so I don't know if that is that meaningful, but although the absolute numbers are small, the large percentage decrease suggests a notable improvement in this area. Wow. Okay. So just a reminder, this data is pretty random. I think it's just a totally randomized data set. So that's why we're getting some odd results here. But that is impressive. That is seriously impressive. Okay, so I want to step it up a level here. I want to look for some advanced insights. I mean, this is insane as well. Can you tell me, based on the data, where improvements can be made? So I'm just literally saying, what do you think we can improve? I'm not even I'm asking it for a judgment call. It needs to be able to do that. It needs to understand the data. It needs to understand all aspects of the data. And it also needs to understand all the analysis, all the logic, right? All the insights. And then it basically has given me pretty darn good summary of all the things we can improve on. Call prioritization. A significant number of calls have priority 0, indicating low urgency, while a small number have a priority 1 to 2. If a high priority calls are not being addressed promptly, it may be worth looking into how calls are prioritized. I mean, that is such a quality optimization, isn't it? That you would generally, these are the things you'd want to know, you're looking for in your data sets, and it's just spelling it out to me. I mean, I haven't really had to dive in and think too much or spend too much time building out a dashboard to go and discover these insights. I mean, it's discovering it very quickly for me. The majority of calls are type PS, but there are also other types of calls. Understanding the nature of these different types of calls and whether certain types are associated with longer service times. Interesting. A large number of calls are handled by an agent, but a smaller number are abandoned or handled by an automated system. Maybe worth investigating why. Server utilization, service time, time series analysis. Wow. Wow. Okay. That's impressive. Interesting. So I really wanted to take it to up another level, but I wanted to ask for ideas. I didn't want to ask for anything specific. And it says, what other analytical insights could you possibly create? And I asked for advanced ones, and then it gave me a whole range of ones that you would call these very much data science type insights. And so, yeah, I want to see how far we can get around some of these, right? Okay, so I'm going to ask it around predictive modeling. Wow. Okay. So, I mean, this is fascinating, right? So I've asked, okay, let's dig into some predictive modeling. Okay. So, people have gone to university to learn this sort of stuff, right? And have taken 3 years to get to a point where they can do this sort of data science type work. We have just literally asked it in one sentence, and it is running the whole thing for us. Okay. So we can have a look at the exact, I mean, just think about it. Like a year ago, you used to have to write all this out manually, and now it just writes it out, almost instantaneously. The predictive model performance is summarized in the classification report. Okay, so it's able to predict what it believes it is. I mean, we'd need to test it, and we need to have a much better understanding, I think, of how this all works, which I'll admit I need to skill myself up a little bit more. But we could be, this just totally democratized data science in my perspective, right? Like, I mean, it's so obvious. It's so obvious, the ability to be able to get a lot of this done quite quickly. And I want to do another one. I want to do another one as well. Um, let's work through it here. Okay, just on first look, I don't know if this is correct or if this is meaningful, but the fact I was able to just watch it think through what it was trying to do there is just out of this world. I mean, it is thinking. It is like an agent. It goes one step, then thinks, and then does another step. And it's taking me through some pretty advanced stuff that, I am not that clued in on. Like, I don't know what this augmented Dickey Fuller test is, but, I could learn, right? Like, certainly if I was doing this for real and I was doing analysis to present to someone or to present to some managers, executives, I want to fully understand what's going on here. But it's still very impressive that it's actually doing things. But I could say, if I really wanted to learn this quickly, it's a fantastic way to learn, right? Fantastic way to learn things. But then we saw it working, right? We saw it working. So it created the initial daily count of complaints. Then it worked through this test, which is obviously some advanced Python library. And then it seemed like it got to some sort of mistake around here, and then tried to correct itself. I'm not sure if it truly did or not, but we would have to dig into this more before we did anything. But it's still, I am incredibly impressed, as you're probably aware, of the logic, the agent's nature of how it's actually discovering insights here. Okay. So I think I'm getting to the end of this demo. I mean, I'm convinced that this is the future. I mean, how could you not work through this and not believe it? Compared to, I've had so much experience in the data space. I've seen so many so many ways of working and doing things within organizations as individuals. I mean, this is just, if it is right and you can have confidence in it, and it can become private, you see that you can use it within your own organization and you're not putting any of your data at risk. I mean, this is just, in a lot of cases, an incredible way to find insights, right? Absolutely incredible. I think dashboards definitely look better, but to be able to dig in just through natural language like this, and then have agents run through your data and bring the insights back to you, I mean, that is transformational, absolutely transformational. And if you paired that with, say, a dashboard, that changes the game completely. That totally enables 10x the amount of people to actually do really high quality analysis, not just surface level things, really high quality. Okay. Wow. Okay. So I just asked, okay, we want to wrap up. Can you just give me the main insights and analysis? I'm looking for a great story to tell executives about performance of the call center. So it just goes through all the insights that we've discovered. It then summarizes them in bullet points, which is fantastic, right? Like, so easy just to skim down here and say, okay, average calls per day 10, but it varies. A majority of calls type PS. Most calls are handled by an agent, 85%. This is just perfect, right? Like, if you're a manager or if you wanted to truly understand the data, this just quickly gives you the overview, right? This is what we would historically have spent a long time analyzing in Excel, a long time building a dashboard on, right? The number of calls shows some volatility. The average daily priority is relatively stable. Year-on-year comparison, the distribution. So it's really just summarizing all of the insights that we've done above. So if we did more insights above, that we could get a more summary of different things. We created a predictive model. We did some time series using the ARIMA model to forecast the number of daily calls in the next 30 days. Wow. Okay, based on these insights, here's the story you might tell. Okay, wow. So this is cool, right? The call center is performing steadily, with the majority of calls being a type PS. The number of calls that end in hang has decreased significantly from 2015 to 2016. Wow. Okay. So it gives you a disclaimer. These are just general observations, and the actual insights may be more detailed. Okay. But we could do more. Yeah, this is just a snapshot, right? This is just a total snapshot. But in the time I've spent, this recording and walking through this, I am, even though this being a totally random data set, I feel very familiar with the data now, right? Very familiar. And this is just, in a lot of cases, just surface level. We could dig a lot deeper if we really wanted to. We absolutely could. We could dig into more advanced analysis. We could dig into certain dimensions or parts of the data set. To me, it doesn't look like anything isn't possible here. So amazing stuff, amazing stuff in my opinion. Now, to wrap up here, okay? I am kind of blown away. I had seen a lot of demos about this, but I mean, I'm convinced, absolutely convinced, as I'm just scrolling through here, that this is there's basically no doubt that this is a superior way of analyzing data. It is. I mean, I've built hundreds of Power BI reports. I've used Excel extensively. I've built a lot of automations with VBA. I've been immersed in data for a long time. Even just using this for the period of this recording, which was my first extensive usage of it, this is a game changer. This is a total new era that we are entering into around how we can get insights. And it's all positive, in my view. This is all massively positive, even for those who are talented data professionals. The fact that we can do a lot of this with just natural language enables us to do so much more in our roles, so much more efficiently, but also bring a lot more people along with us, right? A lot more people can get involved in data analysis and be data people, right? Now, I've had this concept going for a while of this omni data and AI expert, because we're breaking down the barriers here of data analytics, of visualization, of data science. Like we really are. If you've watched and walked through this with me, I mean, we truly have, right? So to me, that's bang on. It's totally bang on. This is really opening up an entirely new way of working, new way of doing things. Okay, I think I'm going to round up. I really enjoyed going through this, and there's no doubt that I'm going to do this a lot more, and I'm going to learn a lot more. I'm going to figure out how we can, some sort of framework around how we can really start working in here effectively, and I'm going to keep everyone updated on a lot of the enhancements here, because the biggest thing, as I mentioned right at the start, is that none of this theoretically is private at the moment, so you can't really use this in your own work, and that is a big downside. Right? You businesses don't want to put their private data into some system which is being trained, is training itself based on that data. It wants to know that it's totally private. So I'm sure that's coming very, very soon. The other exciting thing is I have no doubt. I have no doubt that there's going to be a lot of open source frameworks around this too. So, I was actually looking at, I'll just open up a new chat here. I was actually looking at the plugins. There's actually a lot of data plugins as well. So if you come to the plugin store and you type in code, there's a lot of code type plugins that are coming out as well. So I think that's something very interesting that is appearing too, and I will continue to update you on that. But this is this to me is just a total game changer. The world of data analytics is changing. There's just no doubt about it. The way we work is going to change, and enterprise DNA is going to be at the forefront of showing you how this actually happens, right? So definitely check in to the channel, to check into our platform, and check into all of our areas we put out content, because we'll be talking about it a lot. Okay, thanks all. Look forward to speaking to you again soon.